Hello everyone, this is Ogre Boy, and I'm going to be showing off my Will Ferrell collection. I haven't done a showing off collection video in a long time, so thought I'd do this one tonight. Um, so, first off is the Saturday Night Live: The Best of Will Ferrell. This is the first volume. Has a lot of his most popular skits and stuff, and it's really funny. His different Saturday Night Live characters and stuff. And then there's volume 2. I love this one a lot too. It's great, great skits and everything. I think volume 1 has the better skits though. My favorite one is the one where he's a cheerleader and everything. Just hilarious. I love that one part where they're like, sex can wait, masturbate. It just cracks me up every time. Next is Men Seeking Women. This is a independent comedy movie that he starred in. It was his first big movie role, where he was a big role and everything. And it co-stars Grant Shaw and Anthony Palermo. I don't think I've ever seen either one of them in other stuff, but pretty much in the movie, the three of them make this deal where they're trying to find a girlfriend and keep her and everything. And if whichever one finds a girlfriend has to pay all three of their rents for so many months or a year or something like that. But it's a pretty funny movie. Will Ferrell has a lot of slapstick moments. He's one that always ends up getting hurt and doing crazy stuff and everything. Harley. This is my kitty Harley. Say hi, Harley. Her name's Harley Quinn, after the character in the DC comics, but she keeps trying to get in my box over here. Then where is it? There it is. Now I've got Night at the Roxbury, starring Chris Catt, and this one is actually based off of some of their Saturday Night Live skits they would do, where they were dancing to What Is Love, and going to nightclubs and stuff, and going in their car. In the skits on Saturday Night Live, they'd have different actors with them. One time they had Tom Hanks, and then one time there was Jim Carrey. I'm not for sure who all else, but I love seeing the ones with Jim Carrey and Tom Hanks. I think they were hilarious and everything. I like seeing them on the show more than the movie, because I mean, the movie's 81 minutes long, but it's kind of hard to stretch out a little skit into a movie like that and everything. This one, I thought it was alright, just not one of my most favorite movies and everything. My friend, I have a friend that's also a big Will Ferrell fan. He likes that movie a lot more than I do, but I do like Nights at Roxbury, and I enjoy it a little bit more every time I watch it. Then we've got Superstar with Molly Shannon. This movie was actually based on one of her skits, but he's in this movie, and I actually like this one a lot. It's really funny and everything. It's probably one of my most favorites out of the movies based on Saturday Night Live skits. I think it was just absolutely hilarious. Then there's The Suburbans. This one I only have on VHS, but this movie was alright. It's not one of my most favorites. It came out in the late 90s and had Jennifer Love Hewitt, who I like some of her movies and don't like some of them. This one's not one of my most favorites, but not one of her worst. Will Ferrell wise, it's not one of my most favorites, because he's in there quite a bit, but he's not like the main character or anything. It's just not one of my most favorites. But Ben Stiller and his dad Jerry Stiller are also in this movie. But this one's an okay movie. Then there's Dick. Has Kirsten Dunst and Michelle Williams that are like trying. They are hired to walk the um, president's dog, and it's a it's an okay movie. Um, not real bad. It was a lot better than I expected it was going to be, and everything. Will Ferrell's funny in it, and I think if I remember right, he's playing the FBI agent who's kind of on their trail or something. I don't remember it very well because I've only seen it like once, but once or twice. It's an alright movie. It's not one of my most favorites, but it's especially as far as Will Ferrell goes because he's not in it a lot, but it's still good. And then I've got The Ladies Man, another one based on Saturday Night Live skit. I just recently got this movie. It's on VHS, of course, but I found it for like 25 cents at a thrift store, and I really enjoyed this movie. I was actually really surprised by how much I liked it. Once again, Will Ferrell's not a huge part in this movie, but I still liked him in it, and I thought it was just a funny movie. It could have been a lot better than it was, but it was still enjoyable. And then I have Zoolander, also on video. I have a DVD copy of it, but it's with my Ben Stiller collection because the DVD I have is in a 2-pack with Tropic Thunder. But I do like Zoolander. I think but I don't like it a whole lot. It's my least favorite movie that Will Ferrell's in, and definitely my least favorite Ben Stiller movie. Like I said, I like it somewhat. It's not really one that I really care for very much. I don't really like watching it, but if I'm watching all of my Will Ferrell movies, or sometimes when I watch his movies, I'll watch that one, but that's the only time really. Then there's Old School. This was one of the first Will Ferrell movies I had ever seen. I really enjoyed this movie, especially back when I was a kid, because it had nudity, so of course when I was a kid I loved it a lot more. But it's not one of my most favorites, but I did used to really like it and everything. And it's still a fun movie. I don't think it's as good as a lot of people I think say it is, because I think that it's gained a big cult following, but I'm not. But it's just not one of my most favorites, but I still like it. Then the movie that introduced me to Will Ferrell, Elf. This was one of my most favorite movies of his. I watch it at least once every year, sometimes 2 or 3 times a year. I've seen it in the theater at least 4 times. Twice when it was originally released, and then a couple times when the theaters played it as their retro movies and everything. But just a really great Christmas movie, one of my favorite Christmas movies of all time too. Then Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy, another one of his best movies, and another one of the first ones that I had seen. This movie came out like right after Elf, and it was a really big hit, I think. I didn't see it till it was on TV when they would play it on cable, but I really enjoyed that one quite a bit. This one's one of my least favorites, Melinda and Melinda. It's not a bad movie or anything. It actually kind of interesting story where they kind of tell the same story in 2 different ways. One, it's in a comedic way, and also one's in a tragic way. It's not a very great movie, but it's got a decent cast, and Will Ferrell's good in it for the most part. It's just the movie itself just wasn't one of my most favorites. And then there's Kicking and Screaming with Robert Duvall. This was one of those movies that when it came out, I really didn't want to see it. I thought it looked really dumb and everything, but I actually really enjoyed this movie. It's pretty funny. It's not one of my very, very most favorites, but I do enjoy this movie quite a bit. Then Bewitched. Uh, this movie is somewhat based on the TV show of the same name. It's pretty much where Will Ferrell's like a actor and everything, and he's trying to bring back Bewitched, remake it for a new generation, and the person he hires to play Samantha is actually a real witch, played by Nicole Kidman, and it's a really interesting movie. It's not one of my most favorites, but it's still really fun to watch and everything. It's one that I'd watch when I'm going through his movies or whatever. This one of his more underrated movies, The Producers. I like this one more because of Matthew Broderick and Nathan Lane, but Will Ferrell is hilarious in this, and he holds his own up against these two, and it's really good musical and everything, and it's pretty underrated. It came out like around the same time as King Kong and the first Chronicles of Narnia movie, so it was really overlooked, but it's still really good musical. And there's Wedding Crashers, movie he's not in very much. He's only in this one for like maybe one or two scenes as a small cameo, but when he is on screen, he's hilarious. Everything. This is a really good movie. Not one of my very most favorites, well, Ferrell wise, but it's still just a really good comedy. And then Curious George, he does the voice of the man in the yellow hat. Well, I think in the movie his name is Ted. But this is really pretty underrated animated movie. I like that it was made with traditional animation instead of CGI or computer animation, because at the time this movie came out, the computer animated movies were really starting to take over and everything. But it's a really good movie. It has a really good voice cast too. Besides Will Ferrell, Drew Barrymore's in it, and Dick Van Dyke and Eugene Levy. And just really well done cast, and a really good family movie. A pretty underrated one too. And another one of my most favorites, Talladega Nights, the Ballad of Ricky Bobby, the first movie that features him and John C. Reilly collaborating together. I love it when they collaborate together because their chemistry is spot on perfect, and that their comedy is just gold. It's just absolutely hilarious. Then there's Stranger Than Fiction, pretty good dramedy. He's like playing a person who's like all of a sudden starts hearing narrations of a woman narrating his life and everything, and he finds out that he's like the main character in this person's book and everything, and the author is known for killing off all of her characters and everything in every book she writes, so he's trying to find her and stop her before she kills him off in the book. And it's a really interesting movie, and has a really good cast. Emma Thompson, and Queen Latifah, Dustin Hoffman. Everybody in this movie is really great. Maggie Gyllenhaal has a really good cast, and everyone is really good in that movie. And then there's another independent movie that he's in called Winter Passing. This one's more of a drama. Not one of my most favorites. It has him and Zooey Deschanel reuniting after Elf. Ed Harris is in this, and it's an okay movie. It's not one of my very, very most favorites, but it's not absolutely terrible either, and he's pretty good in it. He shows that he has decent dramatic acting chops in this movie. It's just not one of my very most favorites. Then there's Blaze of Glory. This movie was pretty over the top silly and everything, but it's great comedy. I think it's just really hilarious. It has a good cast. Will Arnett, Amy Poehler, John Heder, and Craig T. Nelson all co-star with him, and they're all really great. And uh, Jenna Fisher is in this too. They all have really good chemistry, and really fun movie. It was one when I saw the trailers for it, I thought it just looked really dumb. I thought it was going to be really stupid and everything, which a lot of his movies, it seems like the trailers are like that, but I end up enjoying most of them. This one's another one of my friend's favorites, Semi-Pro. It's not one of my most favorites. I like it, but I don't think it's a terrible movie by any means, but it's just not one of my most favorites. The cast is good and everything for the most part. Will Ferrell is funny and everything, and Woody Harrelson's good in it, but it's just not one of those movies that I'm really that big of a fan of and everything. And then my favorite movie of his, Step Brothers, the second movie he did with John C. Reilly. This not only is my favorite Will Ferrell movie, but this is one of my very most favorite comedy movies of all time. It's actually in my top 3 favorite comedies of all time, probably second or third. It goes between that and The Jerk for my favorite comedies, but this one's really good movie. I rewatched it earlier today, and it still is hilarious as it was when I saw it in the theaters back in 2008 when it was originally released. And it's the movie that really, even though I had seen Will Ferrell movies before that was the one that really increased my interest in him as an actor, and it's one of the reasons why I follow his movies throughout all these years. And there's Land of the Lost. This movie came out at the peak of my Will Ferrell obsession and everything. I really like this movie. I saw it in the theaters, and I know most people hate it. I think it's because it's not really anything like the show that it's based on and everything, which I guess I can understand that, but I've never really seen the show very much, so that part didn't really affect me very much, but I just love this movie. I think the special effects in it, for being a comedy movie, are really good, and the chemistry between him, Anna Ferrell, and Danny McBride are great. And I like Chaka and everything. I think it's just a really good adventure comedy. I don't think it's as bad as most people say it is. There's the other guys. The first movie that Will Ferrell did, co-starring Mark Wahlberg and everything. I didn't know whether I was going to like this movie because I'm not a huge buddy cop fan. I like Lethal Weapon and some of the buddy cop movies, but I'm not really a big buddy cop movie fan. I'm getting more into them now as I'm older, but this movie was still really funny. It's not my most favorite out of the ones that he did with Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg. In fact, it's actually my least favorite, but still a good movie. Then there's Megamind from DreamWorks Animation. I saw this movie a couple times in theaters. Once with my friend that I keep talking about. This movie was just absolutely hilarious and great animated movie. It also has Brad Pitt, who's also another actor that I really like a lot and everything. So when this movie came out, I was really excited to see it because I'm both a fan of Will Ferrell and Brad Pitt, so I was really pumped up to see it, and I saw it a couple times when it was at the theaters. This one, Everything Must Go. It's a drama. Pretty much he loses his job and gets kicked out of his house by his wife and everything. He's trying to sell all of his stuff so that he can get enough money to move on and try to start over in life and everything. It's kind of a comedy, but it's also but it's more of a drama. It's like a dramedy or a dark comedy. But it's a decent movie. Not one of Will Ferrell's very best, but it's still a good movie. And there's Casa de Mi Padre. It's this movie that's completely in Spanish. Will Ferrell plays a Mexican. Not one of my very most favorites. It has its moments. It's funny and everything, but it's hard to follow. It's easy to follow, but it's also kind of hard to keep up with the subtitles, and the subtitles are really small, so it's not one that I like to watch a lot and everything. It's not one of his best either, but it's not a terrible movie. It's kind of something new and interesting, I guess, but then there's Tim and Eric's $1 billion movie. Another one that he's not in very much, but I know there's a TV show. I've watched the show a few times when I had cable, the Tim and Eric show or something. But this movie's all right. I think I probably would have enjoyed it better if I was more familiar with the show and everything when I saw it the first time. And I'm still not real familiar with it, but I think it's an all right movie. Everything. Like I said, Will Ferrell's not in it very much, so it's not one of my most favorites of his. And John C. Reilly's in it too. I don't remember if they had any scenes together or not, but not one of my most favorites, but it's an okay movie. And then there's The Campaign, with him and Zach Galifianakis, or Finakis, however you say his last name. I was really, really hyped for this movie because I'm a huge fan of Will Ferrell, obviously, and I also like Zach Galifianakis quite a bit. And this came out like when he was still doing the Hangover movies and everything. And I was really excited for this movie. And while I didn't think it was absolutely terrible, I was a little bit disappointed, but it's still a pretty fun movie, and definitely not his very worst or anything like that. It wasn't. I don't think it was like as bad as Zoolander or anything like that. And then the one movie of his that truly disappointed me, Anchorman 2: The Legend Continues. This is easily one of my least favorite movies of his. It's actually my second least favorite after Zoolander. I was really, really disappointed in this movie. In Zoolander, I didn't know anything about when I saw it, so I wasn't really disappointed in it. I just never really cared for it. But this one, I was really hyped on because I love the first Anchorman movie, and this one took almost 10 years to finally happen. And by the time it happened, it was just really, really disappointing. There was some really dumb, racist jokes in it and stuff that I didn't think were all that funny, and I think the movie could have been a lot better. There is an R-rated version but I haven't seen it yet. I'm actually curious to see if the R-rated version might actually be a lot better. But but I know they were heavily marketing that movie when it came out. I think they spent a good year marketing it and everything, and it just didn't live up to the hype. And this movie, the Lego movie, caught me totally off guard. I never expected to like this movie as much as I did. In fact, I didn't really want to see it. Will Ferrell being in it is the only thing that really made me halfway interested in seeing it. And it ended up being one of my favorite animated movies that's been released this decade. It's a really great movie. I can't wait to see the second one, which unfortunately Will Ferrell is not going to be in. But I think this movie was awesome and everything, and it also was the first one of the Chris Pratt's big breakout roles. I mean, he'd been acting and stuff for quite a while, but this was one of his first big breakout movie roles and everything, where he was a main character and everything. It came out the same year Guardians of the Galaxy came out, so he had a really good year that year. And then Get Hard with Kevin Hart. This movie is absolutely hilarious. And I think it was his best movie in a really long time. And great cast and great comedy, and him and Kevin Hart worked really well together. I'd actually like to see them work together again sometime. I don't know how well they got along, but if they got along really well, I'd love to see them make other stuff together. I think it'd be pretty cool. And this one, it's just a recorded movie, A Deadly Adoption. It was a Lifetime movie that he was in that kind of parodies the Lifetime movies and everything, but also is kind of a serious movie at the same time. It kind of takes itself a little seriously while also spoofing the Lifetime movies. It's never been released on DVD, so I have it recorded on a VHS. I'm hoping eventually I can maybe at least get it copied onto a DVD sometime with my DVD recorder. And I've got Daddy's Home. I've actually shared this movie already because I got it in the mail a few months ago and a couple months ago and shared it when I got it in the mail. It's one of my favorites out of Will Ferrell's newer movies and everything. And like I said, out of the ones with him and Mark Wahlberg, this one's one of my most favorites. Not my very most favorite, I'll get to that one in a minute, but still a really good movie. Then Zoolander number 2. I was not looking forward to seeing this movie because I really was not very big on the first movie. Like I said, I think it was okay, but I didn't really care to see this movie, but I ended up liking it quite a bit. I do wish Will Ferrell was in it a lot more, because really the last half of the movie, when Will Ferrell gets in there, is when the movie really starts getting good to me and everything. But it still isn't one of my most favorites, but it was a lot better than I expected it to be. I know most people have told me how terrible it is, but the first Zoolander has a big cult following and has a bigger fan base and everything. I'm not really that big of a fan of the first one, so this one actually kind of surprised me. Then got this one. This is another one that I just finally got, and I saw it for the first time today. The House. It was a really funny movie. I didn't expect to like it as much because my friend told me he was disappointed with it, and I was kind of eerie. I was like, if you're disappointed with it, I probably will be too, but I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot better than I expected it to be. I didn't know much about it except that him and Amy Poehler trying to run a casino in their house to get money for their daughter's graduation. And it was really a pretty good comedy. It wasn't perfect or anything, but it was still a lot of fun to watch. And then last movie that I've gotten of his is Daddy's Home 2. I love this one. This one's my most favorite out of the 3 that he's done with Mark Wahlberg, and my favorite out of the Daddy's Home movies. I hope that they make a second one, but not a second one, but a third one. I hope they make a sequel to this one. I think that they're talking about waiting about 10 years and doing a sequel where the little girl's getting married and they're fighting over who gets to be one to give her away. But this one is just, it has a lot better cast. I'm a huge fan of John Lithgow. I've always liked him ever since I was a kid. I used to watch him on Third Rock from the Sun all the time, and Mel Gibson's one of my most favorite actors, and I didn't actually like Mel Gibson in this movie. His character was a big jerk and everything, but he did a good job playing him, and he was funny in it at times. But anyway, but yeah, that's all of my movies. I still have a couple other things to show. Let me off at the top. Book. It's written by Ron Burgundy. I'm guessing Will Ferrell wrote it as Ron Burgundy, but I haven't read it yet. Like I said, after seeing Anchorman 2, I kind of left a sour taste in my mouth for the Anchorman stuff, so I haven't really rushed out on reading this one yet. I still got a few other books that I want to read before I read this one and everything, but this one's alright, or looks to be like it could be an alright book and everything. I'll just have to wait and see, I guess. And last thing I have, I got a cup from McDonald's when the Lego movie came out. It has his character on there. Lord of Business. I don't know if you can tell, but it changes when you move it and stuff. But anyway, that's my Will Ferrell collection. Can't wait to get this movie, Holmes and Watson, and add it to my collection because I absolutely love that movie. I thought it was just hilarious, and I hope that him and John C. Reilly do more movies together. If he could go back and forth doing movies with him and then doing movies with Mark Wahlberg for the rest of his career, I think it would be awesome. But I'd even love to see a movie where the three of them get together and everything, because Mark Wahlberg's worked with John C. Reilly and they work good together too, so it'd be interesting to see the three of them do something together. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll probably share some more collections. I'm sorry this video took longer than most of my normal ones because it's a pretty big collection, but I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you and have a good day. If there's any movies you want me to review, or top 10 list, or movie series rankings you'd like me to do, let me know in the comments and I'll try to get to them as quick as I can. And thank you and have a good day.